Shabbat Shalom. It hasn't been that cold. Like, not really that cold, right? Okay, well, at least that's what I've been telling myself all this past week as I gear up and layer up in preparation for my trip to Chicago next week for 2 conferences where the temperatures are likely to stay below 20 the entire time I'm there. I know, a conference in January in Chicago doesn't sound that enticing, but I promise you, being in a room full of passionate Jewish educators is a very warm and heated place to be. In addition to the thoughtful learning and conversations I hope to have with my colleagues around issues of teen engagement, Israel education, best practices for Hebrew learning, Jewish identity building, and more, I'm also receiving an award. I am one of 3 colleagues this year being given the Distinguished Educator Award by the Association of Reformed Jewish Educators. The recipients for this honor are chosen by a panel of our leaders of our organization and past recipients. Other awards that our organization give out recognize specific projects or elements of people's work. But this award, the Distinguished Educator Award, honors educators who exemplify the values of ARJE and make significant contributions to reform Jewish education in all its forms. To be presented by an award, any award, by one's peers, it's incredibly gratifying. This particular award, one that demands such a level of esteem of its recipients, it's truly humbling. Since being notified a few weeks ago, I've had some time to reflect on my 15 years in this field, on the successes and failures, the funny moments, the sad ones, and even the times when I wondered if my work mattered at all. As I took stock in all of this, I also questioned, what makes me worthy of this award? Are my contributions to the field truly that significant? Am I any more deserving of this award than anyone else? To be distinguished is to be eminent, illustrious, renowned, and celebrated. Do these attributes apply to me? Am I any more of these things than any of my other colleagues or friends? I think I'm pretty good at what I do, but what raises me to the level of this award over other educators? I'm only distinguished because I am being distinguished. In this moment, someone took notice of me and set me apart. Someone took the time to pay attention to my work, to who I am and what I offer the field of Jewish education. It feels pretty wonderful to be noticed and celebrated. I have many colleagues who are also distinguished, and hopefully soon someone will call them out for their amazing work. Each person deserves to feel the spotlight shining upon them for the gifts they bring. This week, we begin the book of Exodus. The Hebrew name for this book, from the first significant word of the portion, is Shemot, which means names. And it begins, Ve'ela Shemot b'nei Yisrael habayim Mitzrayma et Yaakov ish uvato ba'u. These are the names of the sons of Israel who came to Egypt with Jacob and each with his household. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, the future tribes of Israel. Instead of simply announcing their group is in Egypt, the Torah, which is generally concise and somewhat stoic, takes an extra moment to name each of them, to point them out as individuals. Each has their own family, their own story, their own identity. They are more than simply the group of Jacob's sons. They are more than a group of tribal leaders. They're not just a collective, but individuals. When we call them by their names, we notice them. We distinguish them from one another. If they had been noticed in this way just a few chapters earlier, maybe they would not have held their brother Joseph in such contempt. When only Joseph was distinguished, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher were merely the other brothers. And we assumed they worked and thought and felt as one. We never thought about the special talents that each of them had or the unique lives that each of them led. The poet Zelda taught us that each of us has a name, given by God, given by our family and friends, given by our unique talents and our fears, given by our birth and our death. In reminding us of our names, she also reminds us that there is so much more to each of us than we often pay attention to. Zelda's powerful poem pushes us to recognize the full story of the individual, to celebrate them, to distinguish them from one another. If every life is a whole world, each person a unique story, then it behooves us to name each person in order to distinguish each soul from the other. When people are seen, are celebrated, are renowned, they feel appreciated, and all their gifts can be cherished by everyone. Liri, Itzik, Karina, Ohadi, Ariel, Yarden, Kfir, Shiri, Agam, Romy, Daniela, Emily, Sagi, Yair, Omer, Alexander, Arbel, Ohad, Eli, Or, Naama, Oded, Ofer, Keith. These are more than just hostages. Each of the nearly 100 people still waiting to be freed from captivity is a precious life to be celebrated. We have learned their names and know their stories. And as we distinguish each one as more than simply one of the hostages, we see the light and love each one brings to our world, and we illuminate the darkness that is in its place until they are returned. This Saturday evening, as we do at the end of every Shabbat, we will extinguish a flame for Havdalah in order to distinguish the holy from the profane. When we recognize distinction, we can actually bring more holiness into the world. Ken Yehi Ratzon.